Take your product management to the next level with Claude Code and Nimbalyst. In this demo, we're pretending that we work at Hacker News, and we're working on a new feature to allow advertisers to advertise into Hacker News. And we're here in the Nimbalyst Markdown editor, making changes to our core idea for that feature, and working together with Claude Code to have it make suggestions and changes as well, which it brings back in red-green diffs. We can go and make edits to those, we can accept them, we can step through them one by one or accept them all together, and we iterate back and forth with Claude Code until we come up with ideas that we like. We're also showing here how you can use other standard Claude Code features like adding things to your Claude MD, editing that directly, and the like. Now we're ready to do some competitive research on our idea, and we're going to do that in Nimbalyst in our sessions and in Markdown. Of course, Nimbalyst supports Claude Code custom slash commands and skills and the like. Here I'm showing one that I made to do competitive research, and you can edit that in Markdown and then go ahead and use it in a new session in the session manager in Nimbalyst. So I enter /competitive, that custom Claude Code / command, and I want to get an analysis of our competitor's UI and screenshots. And I've already told Claude Code that our chief competitor here is Reddit. And so it's going to go and build an analysis here of Reddit's ad interface for advertisers. So we go over to the file that has been created by that / command, click on it, look at all the edits come in as green, and we accept those. And then we can link here that file to the AI sessions that reference it. And so we link those together here. But we ask Claude to iterate on this file with us, in this case, going and getting some images of the different UI that it can find for Reddit's ad interface so that we can have that in our plan document and study it and compare ourselves to it. We go back to our session manager, can see our historic sessions, search them and the like. But let's make a new one and analyze some customer feedback that we've gotten related to advertising. So we kick off a session to have Claude Code go and analyze a whole set of transcripts that we have from customer conversations, looking for mentions of advertising, of Reddit, and looking to learn from that. And so Claude kicks off a whole bunch of subagents. We could ask it to do that, or it does it automatically when necessary. And we've asked for this to be put into a CSV file. So now we're going to work in this CSV file together with Claude Code. We can come in here and edit and visually work in that CSV file. We can link it to the chats that reference it and continue them and pick up where we left off as we talk about the CSV file, or we could start a new chat. In this case, we have analyzed the CSV, but we now want it to be summarized into text so that we can learn from it. And so Claude kicks that off and gives us a nice summary of what's in that CSV file and what it has researched. And so we learn some about our competitor and from our customers when what they're looking for. Now let's look at how we can use usage data. And in this case, we're going to be accessing MCP in session. You can set up your MCP servers in Nimbalyst or just pick up what you already have set up with Claude Code. Here we're going to be using PostHog, and so we're having Claude Code analyze our PostHog data to understand our daily and weekly retention rates and see how we're doing as Hacker News and how that might affect our advertising strategy. And so we have excellent retention of users coming back day after day, we think, but let's go ahead and have Claude Code compare that for us to other competitors, say let's Reddit or the actual Hacker News. It'll go and do the research that it can. And you can see some very nice inline graphing capabilities that Nimbalyst provides for you to use and do your analysis. So we look at the summary there, go back and forth, and now we've learned enough to go ahead and start planning. We've looked at our competitors, we've looked at our customers, we've looked at our customers and competitors. Let's go ahead and start planning. We're going to plan this feature in Markdown and in Mermaid in Nimbalyst. So these are our core ideas for this feature, and we're going to use this together with a plan command to actually plan the feature. And you can use it to inform Claude Code on how you want your plan to be structured, what should be a part of it, where you want it to be located after it's done, and edit it here or edit together with Claude Code, etc. We find that the more you iterate on your planning together with Claude Code, the better job coding that it does. And so here we will now go and make this plan. and Claude will put it into a file for us. And we click over into that plan, accept all of the initial changes, and begin to look through it and edit it, iterating again with Claude Code to make it something great. Sometimes a picture or diagram is worth 1,000 words, and so Nimbalyst allows you to add in mermaid diagrams, edit them yourself, edit them together with Claude Code, and iterate. In this case, we're going to look to understand our advertiser flow, edit it to improve clarity and the concepts, and then have Claude Code annotate it so we can understand the key places where we might want to add in AI, for example. Now let's mock up a feature in HTML. So we've planned it. Let's actually mock it up and have Claude Code take a pass at what it should look like. And then again, we'll iterate with Claude Code to improve it. So the first thing we want to do when we're mocking up is to use our style guide, and Claude Code can build this in Nimbalyst based off of the code or the site or whatever you want to provide it. So it's already built a nice style guide of our Hacker News type website. And now it's going to leverage that in order to mock up the advertising interface for advertisers for our new feature. So it's finished with that, and we're going to click over and look at it. And you can see it's in Nimbalyst as HTML. We can go and look at that. We can look at it in the raw HTML to see what's there. And if you're comfortable editing that way, you can edit the actual HTML. And this is in the Nimbalyst code editor. And we can annotate it. So in this case, we want to not have the preview for the advertiser say show Hacker News, because that's not what we would be doing. It would be saying something more like promotion, and perhaps mention the name of the advertiser right in the ad in Hacker News. So we ask it to go make that change, and it can see what we've annotated there. And then it'll come back with, again, the comparison so that we can see what we had before and we can see what we had after. And then we'll compare those two using the slider. So that's after versus before. And we like the change. It says promoted now. And so we're going to go ahead and keep it. And continue iterating until we have something we like, and then use that in our actual development. Now let's go back to our plan, and we're going to insert this mockup right into the plan. So in one integrated plan document, we can have our diagrams, our mockups, our Excel draws, everything that we need in order to understand it as a human and for the agent to understand it as well. So we go ahead and insert that mockup in. And we're going to MCP to linear now to add this plan in to linear so we can track it and work it through our process in our issue tracking system. And we can see the ticket in linear. One of the powerful things about Claude Code is that it can understand your code. And so whether you are a developer or not, you can speak with Claude Code in Nimbalyst to understand things like status. So in this case, we're going to be trying to understand the status of our project. It's a demo project, and so you'll see that not much has been added to it for several years, but you get the sense of the power of being able to understand up-to-date status, what's the latest PRs are, what's being worked on, etc. You can leverage Claude Code to understand your code and build architecture diagrams, or really any kind of diagram in Excalidraw with Nimbalyst. So here we're going to be looking at the code itself to understand how the solution works and to build out the architecture. And Claude Code is exploring the code base and building that Excalidraw diagram. It has built the architecture in 3 layers, the client, the server, and the data layer. And let's go ahead and look over into the Excalidraw to see it. You can see it's laid out quite nicely, and this is the architecture of our Hacker News site. I can then go ahead and edit that myself, changing the colors and the text, and iterating with Claude Code to change the colors and the text and the whole layout as well. I like to have conversations with Claude Code then to understand different pieces of the architecture to increase my learning and figure out what to do. Now, after all that research and planning and mock-ups and architecture, let's go ahead and implement the feature. So we go into a session and say implement and mention the file that we're talking about, the plan that we're talking about. We can mention as many files that we wish. And Claude Code kicks off that implementation. It reads a lot of files. In this case, it's coming back with clarifying questions to help understand how it should implement and how I want it to implement. So I go ahead and fill those out and submit them. And now Claude Code will continue on with its implementation. And you can see the to-dos and tasks that it has on the bottom right, and the files that it's editing and reading and referencing in the right panel. Once it's finished, it summarizes what it's done, and Nimbalyst gives you a nice summary of the total number of files that are edited. You can then go click one by one or accept all of the changes, see what has happened, accept it or not, and go ahead and make additional edits if you wish in the Nimbalyst code editor. One of the powerful things about Claude Code, especially using Claude Code and Nimbalyst, is that you can easily keep your code and your plan in sync. And so you can ask Claude Code to look at what has been coded and then to update the plan based off of that or the code based off of that and go back and forth, keeping everything in sync. In any session, Nimbalyst does show you the status of your context, how it's broken down, so you can manage that context and make sure you're not running out, starting a new session, or you can compact, etc. Nimbalyst is the best way to work with Claude Code. We hope you'll check it out.